Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Georgiman and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about the third episode of the Spice and Wolf 2024 remake. So, why did I think about this week's episode? Honestly, I thought this week's episode was fantastic, and the main reason is because it really showcased the importance of Holo in the life of Lawrence, as well as the entirety of the story thus far, because it shows just how strong of a character she is, how smart she is, and how much of a hustler she is overall. Because in this week's episode, we get to see pretty much Holo showcase her skills as the Wise Wolf, because they don't just call her the Wise Wolf for nothing, and she really showcased that in this week's episode. So before I go any further with this week's episode, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my anime and manga, as well as all my Spice and Wolf content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's episode. So this week's episode starts off where pretty much we see that both Lawrence and Holo, they're heading up to a new town. And one thing to mention is that, you know, at this point in the story, you know, Lawrence is asking Holo, like, hey, you might want to like keep everything covered because, you know, I'm sure there's legends about you and how, you know, your appearance is. And you know, Holo says that, you know, my appearance, yeah, it's pretty much, there's stories about, you know, a young looking girl that, you know, the Wise Wolf Holo, when she takes the form of a human. However, those stories, I think they're not going to be very important going forward, and I don't think anybody even knows about them, because I think, you know, through the progression of time, the more and more time has passed, the more and more people have forgotten about the Wise Wolf Holo. So it's a very sad, you know, little beginning of the episode where you pretty much see the progress of time, how Holo herself starts realizing, like, you know, I'm being left behind. Like, you know, as the time moves on, you know, my legacy as the Wise Wolf has been diminished more and more, which is a real shame, and it's very sad because, like I said, you know, time just keeps going and people get left behind, and that's pretty much what's happening to Holo and what she starts realizing as the story, you know, continues on without her in the story of the world overall. But as they get into the town, you know, Lawrence, you know, he's talking about like the trading and how he's still going to be investigating about the silver coin and everything from the previous episode with the guy Zeron. And as all that is happening, we see that pretty much Holo is like, okay, well, she starts eyeballing some apples, and then, you know, Lawrence eventually is like, all right, I'll give you some money so you can buy some apples. Like, you know, like, he's a little softy. He gives her a silver coin, and she eventually buys like a bunch of apples. Like a bunch of apples, fills the back of the wagon. And, you know, Lawrence is like, hey, I expect you to pay me back. And she's like, don't worry, I'll definitely pay back. Like, I told you, I'm the Wise Wolf. Like, don't sweat it. And as all that happens, you see that she, I guess, ate a bunch of them because she knocks out the second she gets back to the inn. And it was funny, you know, she just, you know, she's like very lustful. She's like, oh, the apple is the forbidden fruit. And it's just funny, you know, silly Holo, you know, dynamic going on. And as that's happening, we see that the next day, pretty much, you know, Lawrence is ready to make, you know, his big sell, which is the reason he went into the town, is to sell the fur coats that we've seen since the episode 1. And we see that he's talking to the guy that's going to buy them from him, and, you know, they're negotiating. And eventually he starts at the beginning, like, trying to get 130 silver coins for it. Eventually Lawrence is like, I think 140 is better. And, you know, they talk about like, oh, I've done business with you, you know, for a long time, you know, give me a discount kind of thing, like, or give me more of a better offer. And as they're ready to settle for 140 silver coins, Holo steps in, and she's like, wow, you're really gonna let him bully you like that, master? And she starts like telling like the guys, like, here, smell the first. And the guy's like saying like, what? And he smells them. He's like, they smell like fruit. And, you know, Holo starts saying like, yeah. She goes in this whole she just did a fraud. Like, she just committed fraud, because she starts talking about like, oh yeah, these furs were, you know, made like the animals ate like a good harvest, so therefore like the fruit of that they were eating, you know, got in their furs. And then these furs were so thick and strong that it took 2 men to cut them. Like, she's going on all about, like, you know, she's giving you the used car salesman pitch, you know. She's just saying like, yeah, this bad boy can get you anywhere. And she just keeps like gaslighting this guy, and eventually, you know, the guy's like, I'll give you 200 silver coins for it. And, you know, Holo's like, what about if you round it for 210? How about that? Like, triple, like 10 more coins wouldn't hurt. And the guy eventually caves in, and you see Holo pretty much, she gets the sell, like, she's hustle the guy. And what happens is they go back to the inn, and Lawrence is like, what was that all about? Like, how did you get that? Like, how did you even come up with all of this? And Holo explains to him like like, because Lawrence is like at odds. He's like, I didn't even pick on the furs smell fruity to begin with. That's crazy because I've handled them for so long. And that's where Holo just pretty much reveals everything that I just said, where he's like, oh, I made all that up. It's like the apples that I bought, I bought them for a reason too, not just because I wanted to eat them, but because I knew they were gonna make you money. And she's very good at flying, going on the fly, just kind of coming up with schemes. So I think she's great for a merchant. And what happens is pretty much that they're eating, and Lawrence is like, wow, like I'm being bested by this chick when it comes to being like a merchant. That's insane. And what that's happening is that you see that the guy Zarin shows up, and they reunite with him, and they talk about like, yeah, just keep an eye out like on this whole silver coin, like thing that's happening with the market. Like, just keep tabs on it, because the whole thing is that, remember that the silver trading coin is going to increase in value or whatnot. The new coin's going to come in, and well, he has a conversation with Zarin. He goes back in the inn, and he starts demonstrating to Holo like pretty much the economics of it. It's like, there's this silver coin is this one's for this kingdom, this is one's for this town, this and that. And Holo eventually just knocks out. She's like, this is nonsense. And I don't blame her. She ain't trying to learn all these currencies in one night. She goes to sleep. And the next morning as they wake up, Lawrence is ready to investigate even further upon this. And he's saying like, so far it seems like there's no real business going down. Like, nothing sketchy is happening, in the sense that he doesn't see how it can happen. So he takes a bunch of coins, and he takes them to this friend of his, which is a guy that deals with currencies. I believe he trades currencies and whatnot, but he's gonna weight the scales and whatnot. And he's looking at all these coins, and he's like, no, there's nothing wrong with them. And then Holo's like, let me see. Like, she's playing dumb. Like, she's playing a fool, and she's like, let me touch them. And the guy's super simping for Holo, by the way. Like, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. All right, Holo, best girl. But you see that she grabs the coins, and she starts shaking them. She's like, oh, they sound the same. Oh yeah, you're right, nothing's wrong. And as they leave, you see her walking with Lawrence, and Lawrence is like, so tell me, did they have any, like, oh no, Lawrence, I believe, tells her straight up like, oh, thanks for lying. And she's like, what? How did you pick up on that? It's like, oh, I could tell the way you move your ears. And she's like, so you could tell that I was lying, in the sense that they weren't, like, I wasn't telling the truth. And you see Lawrence is like, so are they? And she's like, yeah, they're different. It's like, wait, so are they more pure, or are they decrease in purity? It's like, oh no, the newer ones have decrease in purity. And you're like, what? Because it's always supposed to be like about the same. Either they make more purity, you never want to decrease it, because that means that you're losing more money in the sense of it in the long term if you were to melt them and test them out like that. And what happens is that as that was happening, like, Holo starts just like teasing Lawrence, like, were you jealous of this guy? Like, he was all complimenting. He's like, don't worry, I didn't bat an eye on him, I thought he was adorable. And Lawrence is like, oh, like, he's he got caught. I mean, yeah, he's a little jealous of it. But then you see Holo even tease him even more, where she gets next to him. He's like, men are so silly. They love being jealous, and like, they love like always getting jealous over a thing. But it's okay. We women are dumb too, because we love being like, we get off to the jealousy. Like, we like that. So I thought that was really funny from Holo. And how we end the episode is pretty much that, Lawrence is like contemplating, like, what's the point of this whole scheme? Like, maybe he got misinformed. Maybe he's not trying to make a profit. Like, because he gave him 10 coins for the initial, like for information. Like, give me 10 silver coins, and if nothing comes out of it, I'll give them back to you. And what Holo, comes to the consensus is that either he has nothing to gain, so he just, he threw it out there in the hopes that Lawrence would make him money, and if his information is wrong, then I mean, he'll just return the money. He's not losing anything at the end of the day. If anything, he when you have nothing to lose, you're gonna gain a bunch. And that's where Lawrence starts realizing, like, and Holo tells him, like, maybe somebody higher up set him up to it, like a pyramid scheme kind of thing. So the episode ends where Lawrence is gonna try to like investigate this whole thing and go to like the bank, or not the bank, but the people associated with the finances in that town. So a lot of scheming going down. Holo being a hustler, love to see it. Love to see a self-independent woman hustling. But with all that being said, I thought this week's episode was fantastic, and I can't wait to see the next week's, because thus far the show has been great. And as a big Spice and Wolf fan, it puts a big smile on my face every Monday. But with all that being said, what did you guys think about this week's episode? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you thought it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Spice and Wolf, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.